Hi guys, how are you? My name is Mari. If you don't know, welcome back to my channel. If you can't tell, I'm pretty nervous right now. You guys have been asking me to make this video ever since I started my Instagram page. I get asked all the time about this story and I've been honestly kind of putting it off because one, it's something that I find hard to talk about, and two, I'm just nervous that I'll say it wrong. I want to make sure that I tell you guys enough but not too much, and I'm just nervous about it. But I think it's a story that you guys need to know because I think it will help you. I know a lot of you will relate. This has been so much more than a weight loss journey for me. This has completely changed my whole life. It's changed me as a person. That is why we are doing this video. I'm very nervous, and I do want to say that it might start out a bit sad, but there is a happy ending, I promise. The message I'm giving you is a positive one. I just want you guys to understand what my life was like before fitness. By the way, I've tried to film this multiple times. I've written up multiple outlines. I've made notes. I think it's better if I just speak from the heart with this one. There's a lot of feelings that go with this story, and I don't tell a lot of people. I don't talk about this story very often because it's something that is really hard for me. Anyway, I'm already crying, that's bad, but I will start my story, and thank you so much. I really hope you guys benefit from it and get to know me a little better. I'm actually gonna start from when I was a kid. Throughout this story, I'm gonna try to find as many photos as I can so you can have a good reference. As a kid, I was not overweight at all. I was actually on the skinny side. Not for any reason. I was just very tall. You guys know I'm 5'11". I really liked to eat healthy food when I was younger. I really liked fruit and salad. I wasn't one of those kids that enjoyed fries and hot dogs and stuff. I really enjoyed healthy food. I don't know why. I was just skinny. That's just how I was. Food was not really something I thought about. I had a very healthy relationship with food. My family eats very well. Okay, high school, food was not something I really thought about either. My weight was not something I ever thought about. I was just naturally kind of skinny. It didn't really concern me, and it was not something I thought about for a very long time. I wouldn't say I was the healthiest person. I wasn't fit. I didn't like the gym. I didn't exercise. I didn't like sports. I hated gym class. I didn't eat with health in mind. I just ate what I liked. Junior year of high school, my parents actually divorced, and for me that was really, really hard. It was a big kind of shift in my life, and I was very, very upset. There's a big mental health aspect to this story, and I'm gonna go into it a little bit, but I think I might have to make that a whole separate video because otherwise I will just talk for hours and hours. But I think I had always been a sensitive kid. I'd always been pretty emotional, but my anxiety kind of started to creep in a little bit around that time. Nothing crazy. In high school, I did not drink. I didn't party. Pretty shy. I had a few friends, not many. Then I went to college. I went to Drexel University in Philadelphia. I'm so ready for college. I want to make tons of friends. I want to have so much fun. So right off the bat, I met tons of people. I was going out. This was a whole new world for me. I made tons of friends. I joined a sorority. I was partying. I was having so much fun. But I would say this was the first time I started to notice my weight change, just a little bit, because I was going out. I was drinking beer and that jungle juice stuff that has crazy sugar and calories, and then I was having late night pizza. That summer I came home and I was oh, I had definitely put on some weight. And I remember that summer I just did a 10-minute jog around my neighborhood every day. I think I lost a few pounds, but I definitely didn't weigh myself. I didn't know anything. And I think just being at home and not having that crappy food and beer all the time really helped too. So went back to college, still partying like crazy. This is so weird to talk about because this is so not me now. This just feels like I'm talking about a different person. But anyway, so I went back to college, and this is when things got a little out of hand. I was not goal driven at all. I had no goals. My only goal was to have fun and be at every party and be friends with every person. And I had the worst FOMO, I remember. I would hate missing anything. If I wasn't there, I felt really anxious. I was people are gonna forget who I am, and I was starting to have really weird feelings like that. My eating habits were super weird. During the day, I would like eat not much. Like I would not eat much during the day. I would get like half a Subway sandwich and then not eat the rest of the day. And then at night I would eat a lot. I definitely didn't really care about my health at all. I just cared about being friends with the most people and going to the most parties and not missing anything. I would say around junior year, things started to get pretty bad. My anxiety and I would say mostly my depression around this time were really bad. I was going out at night and kind of having like episodes. I won't go too far into it, but like I would come home crying 99% of the time. Things would upset me very easily. My relationships were very rocky, I would say, like very up and down all the time. My life was kind of a roller coaster. If I was really upset, I would deal with it by just going out to party, and then it would get worse. I was in this like vicious cycle. Things were getting really bad. I know that this stuff may not sound weight loss related, but it's very key to this story. This was a super dark time for me. It was weird because I had a lot of friends. I went out a lot. I had a boyfriend, and you would think I was fine. Like on the outside, I looked like someone that was fine. Like I would walk down the street, smile at people, like I seemed fine. I really, really wasn't. Spending my days like pretending I was fine. That was my big thing. I would put on this big smile and pretend I was fine, and like I was terrified of acting like I wasn't. I was terrified of not being like the fun person. I hated who I was. I like really hated who I was. But I did nothing to change it, nothing. And it was getting worse and worse. My depression was spiraling like out of control. So as I mentioned before, my parents divorced when I was in high school. I've actually been seeing the same therapist since I was 14. I originally went to her because I suffered with ADD really bad in high school and through college. And that's why I went to see her. She diagnosed me with ADD. And then I actually just kept seeing her because my parents divorced and there was all this like all these things kept happening to me, and I really needed her. I saw her on a weekly basis, and when I was at college, I would talk to her on the phone every week. So around this time, I actually started to talk to my therapist a lot more, and I went to go see a psychiatrist. That is actually when I was diagnosed with my emotional disorder. It's a very difficult thing to deal with. It's very difficult to deal with at college. It's just a very painful, hard disorder. I'm able to talk about it now. I think I've worked really hard to be able to cope with. And I'm going to touch on this really briefly, but I'm not going to go too in depth because this is just a whole other thing. But they put me on a few different medications, antidepressants, mood medication, anti-anxiety. Yeah. I also began going to group therapy, and I felt like I was on a good track. But after a little bit, I started to have really bad dips again. Things got really bad. I was dealing with issues of self-harm and horrible things like that. I started to feel very hungry. For the first time ever, I had this like raging appetite. I was craving things like never before, like pizza, like greasy egg sandwiches. I ate a lot. I was eating more than ever. Once I had like the right medication figured out, I was starting to feel like more happy, and it was making me eat more. I distinctly remember getting lunch with my mom, and she was like, oh my gosh, like how are you eating that much? I remember saying, yeah, I'd rather be a little, heavier, and at least I'm happy. Now that I think about it, I wasn't really happy. I just like didn't feel anything. Like I really didn't care about anything at all. Such a weird, hazy time for me. I was kind of just drifting through life. Like I didn't feel sad, but I also didn't feel happy. I didn't feel anything. Maybe this is how life should be. Everything kind of started to crumble and spiral down in 2016. Yeah, 2016, I turned 22, and I remember it was around my birthday. I went through a breakup. When your entire being is like valued and defined by another person, you tend to manifest that all in that person. When that person was gone, I felt like I didn't exist. Like my whole life fell apart. It hurt more than I think I've ever hurt in my whole life. At the time, I was not really being good about my medication. I would kind of take it sometimes, and then I was realizing that I was eating a lot and then I would stop, and then I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what the right thing to do was. I kind of felt like maybe I should stop because I'm eating so much, and then I didn't know. I remember sleeping all the time. Like, I was always sleeping, I was always tired. I was still at college at this point. It was technically my last term of college when this happened. I wasn't going to class, and if I did, I didn't care at all. I didn't pay attention at all. I distinctly remember looking in the mirror and being like, that's not how I look. Like, this is so weird. I kept telling myself I was bloated. I remember I was like, oh, I just had a big meal, I'm bloated, I'm bloated, I'm bloated every day. I was not bloated. I was gaining weight really fast. Yeah, it was getting really bad, and it got to a point where I realized I'm failing my classes, every single one. It's my last term of college. I'm not going to graduate. I went straight to my advisor and I said, I can't do this. I pulled out of all my classes and I moved back home, back to New York. I was so ashamed and embarrassed. At the time, I thought moving back home was horrible. I felt like I had failed. Now looking back on it, moving back home was the best thing I could have ever done. For a while, I was doing the same thing, kind of eating a lot, sleeping. Being at home really gave me the space and clarity that I needed to realize what was going on. I will say at the time when I moved home, I decided to stop taking my medication. I am not telling you to stop taking your medication. I'm not recommending that at all. If you do want to, you should 100% talk to your psychiatrist and therapist, which is what I did. I slowly stopped taking them, but that kind of thing stays in your system for a long time, so I felt like I was on them for a very long time. After a while, I really started to feel like myself again, and I kind of realized the situation I had got myself in. I realized how much weight I had gained, but I really had no idea what to do about it. This is kind of where Greg comes in. Greg and I went to the same high school, we went to the same college. Greg has been into bodybuilding and fitness since like 6th grade. Greg has always been super into weightlifting for so long. I didn't really know that that was an option for weight loss. And now the story gets fun. Now I can be a little happy with you guys because this is where my life like started. Like, this is where everything, and I'm like getting happy talking about it because it was so cool to discover this whole world I didn't know about. So the first thing I did is hop on YouTube. I love YouTube. I typed in like how to do a diet, how to go to the gym. Like, I didn't know what I was looking for. That's when I started finding fitness people. I started finding Taylor Chamberlain, Buff Bunny, Amanda Bucci. Who else did I watch? Emily Hayden. And I studied everything. I was researching nutrition, exercise, I was teaching myself everything. I would watch full days of eating all the time from various different people, learning like, okay, what foods should I be eating? How much should I be eating? And of course, I didn't realize at the time, but that is completely dependent on the person. That's different between every person. But the main thing that I realized is that I can change myself. I would watch these like diet series videos, YouTube series that was a couple months long, and I would see these people transform themselves. From the beginning of my weight loss journey, I didn't want to just lose weight. I wanted to look healthy. I wanted muscle. I thought those girls looked so good. I wanted toned arms. I wanted a big butt. I told Greg, like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. And I didn't even expect myself to stick with it. I doubted myself so much. But we started tracking my progress. If you guys have my guide, you will have read this in my story section, but I was so nervous to weigh myself. At the time, I hated it that Greg would I would go on the scale and go like this, and Greg would read the number and he wouldn't tell me the number, he would just tell me how much I lost. So he'd be like, oh my gosh, you're 2 pounds down this week, you're 3 pounds down this week. And it was so motivating for me, not just the number, but to see him so excited for me because he knew I was in a really bad place. If that's something that you relate to, like you don't like looking at the scale, have your significant other or your friend tell you increments of how much you lost. That really helped me, and I got super into fitness. I got so into it. The first time I went to the gym to weightlift, I was so intimidated. For the first few months, I was really intimidated. I felt like everyone was staring at me. I felt like I was doing everything wrong. I actually remember I would walk in the gym and walk right out because there was too many people there's too many men in the weight section. I would get really upset with myself because this was my goal. Like, For the first time in my life, I had a goal, and it felt so good. Like I had a reason to be doing things. A lot of people were doing macro tracking. If you don't know what that is, that's basically when, I'll show you. You use this app, MyFitnessPal, and basically you plug in everything you eat. What macro tracking really taught me, it's not calorie counting. It is counting, but you're counting like the macros. So you're counting the carbs, fat, and protein in a food, and you're hitting a certain number every day. And it allows you to kind of control your weight loss process. Weight loss isn't just this guessing game. It isn't figuring out the magic food. It's just eating either in a deficit, a surplus, maintenance. You can do a lot of different things with macro tracking, and what it did for me is really just teach me about food. What's a carb, what's a fat, what's a protein. I learned how much is in each thing. I can eat the things I like and still lose weight. I can eat the things I like and still look good. Some people like to incorporate like, you know, donuts and fun things and with macro tracking, but what it did for me is just teach me about food, and from there I learned the foods that made me feel good. Like that was so important for me because, as you guys now know, mood for me is such an important thing. Food has really helped me with that. Now I eat a lot of omega-3s and high-fat foods because those really help with mood. Macro tracking isn't for everyone. It's not something to do for your whole life. I actually haven't done it in a few months, and a lot of you guys are always asking me like, how did you get started? Like, how did you stay motivated? And now that you know my story, I think you can understand like my why was so big. For me, this weight loss journey was just like changing my life and changing who I am. And every time I felt like giving up, every time it felt too hard, I was like, no, hell no, I am not going back to who I used to be. No way. That has kind of stayed in my head. For me, fitness was just my new life, and it was my new me. My first goal was our trip to Ecuador, which was March 2017. And I think when I went to Ecuador, I was 190 pounds in Ecuador, and I felt like so good. I felt amazing. More than just how I looked, I felt so awake. Like I felt so aware of everything. I was out of my haze. I felt so good, and I didn't want to stop there. My next goal was May 25th, my birthday, 2017. I guess I turned 23, hit that goal. I just kept having new goals, and that's kind of where it's taken me. I actually just wanted to show you guys this. I was scrolling through my notes the other day, and I have, from like a year ago, or when I first started, I have notes and notes and notes from my journey, because every day I would write myself a little motivating paragraph. See? It says, motivation. You slipped a little this past week, and that's okay, but it's time to get back on track. You feel amazing when you push yourself the best you can. Remember your goals. You want to feel amazing for your birthday and for the summer. Think of each workout as your last one. And I have like my workout schedule. So fitness just became my life. Like it was my passion. I was feeling so good. It started to just transform my life in general. During the winter of 2017, I went back to Drexel to finish up the class I had. I remember bringing my Tupperwares of food. I was determined. I was so determined. I wouldn't let anyone get in my way. So I finished that last class, and then from there I was doing online classes. I got a job. I was working at Orange Theory Fitness. I was waking up at 3:30 a.m. every day, going to work, bringing my Tupperware, going to my car, eating my Tupperware, going to the gym. It changed my life. It changed who I am. I'm someone that is determined. I'm very goal-driven. I'm self-motivated. I'm passionate. I care very much about other people and their success as well. It's become my passion to help other women discover what fitness can do for you and how it can change your life. So I started posting, hold on, I'll pull it up. My first post on Instagram regarding my weight loss journey was October 17th, 2017. It was this transformation. Now I have this page, which has become even more of my passion. Now I'm able to do fitness and document it and share my favorite tips. I just feel so fulfilled, and I feel so motivated by all of you guys, and feel so loved, and I love you guys so much. It's just mutual love all the time. I lost a lot of weight. I lost 70 pounds. I'm now 170 pounds. I'm 5'11", by the way. Oh, did I miss saying that earlier? You guys are gonna get so mad at me. I'm 5'11". I'm really happy with my health. I feel strong. I feel mentally good, which is so important for me. I feel strong on the outside and on the inside. Can't express how grateful I am to have an amazing community of women following me and supporting me. And now I have my own products. I have gym guides, I have a nutrition guide, I have a home guide, I have a resistance band. And I know I touch on it in my captions, but I seriously never would have imagined this. I never thought that my life could be this, and I feel so happy. And yeah. Okay guys, that is the end. That is my story. I really hope it wasn't too intense. I know it's a little intense, but I think it was time for me to tell you guys and have you guys understand, you know, where I'm coming from and how I got to where I am. Maybe some of you are in the same position that I was in. I really hope that it benefited some of you. I love you guys so much. If you made it to the end, thank you for listening. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.